The sun's shining and everybody's happy. Britain only looks like this when you've been drinking. And we have.
That's TV's Oz Clarke, the world-renowned wine authority and the toast of intellectual society.
Hello, diddly doodle. And that's thirsty caravan enthusiast James May, a man of the people.
Can I have a drink, please?
No. We're seeing good old Blighty through the bottom of a glass. And the curtains of a 1978 Sprite caravan. And the windscreen of an old car, a golf buggy, Land Rover and a train or two.
But it's all part of a serious sociological experiment. Our mission, to find the drink that speaks for our great nation.
As we drink to bring. We began our research in Yorkshire, where we sniffed aromatic hops.
No, Derbyshire, James.
So what was Yorkshire?
That's where we learned about barley.
Well, I saw it more like this. Oz overanalyzed and nearly ruined one of the simple pleasures in life. Beer.
Break up with a lovely yeasty, creamy. Can we just drink the first one?
So we know what goes into a pint, and now we're heading further north. Northwest, to see how beer is actually made. James believes in industry, so I'm taking him to a beer factory that brews 1 million pints a day.
Oz believes in the old ways, so we're also going to try some homebrew.
I think you mean microbrewery, James. A very different thing. And you'll like the woman who runs this one. She's called Patsy.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll like Patsy. Have I got to do some pretend work today before I can have a pint? Is it one of those days?
I tell you, if there's any work to be done at Patsy's, it won't be pretend.
Patsy's brewery is not a hobby, it's a serious business, and it's her full-time job. Pretty impressive, especially when we discover it all takes place in her mother-in-law's garage.
This is Patsy Slevin.
Patsy.
See?
Morning.
She's very polite. She shakes your hand rather before giving me a hug. How are you? Patsy makes over 2,000 pints a week, all of which are eagerly consumed by local drinkers in local pubs in Wigan, which is local to where we are.
Wigan.
Exactly. Now, we're here to learn how beer is made and to learn the language of brewing.
That is hot water, hot liquor, that's been mixed with a variety of grains of a secret consistency for my beer. I brew by touch, taste, feel, smell.
And
right?
heart.
It's
And heart,
witchcraft.
okay?
There you go.
It's witchcraft. Well, we started off by mixing that with 3 barrels of water, and then you leave it to steep for an hour and a half. Your strike temperature, which is the temperature of your hot liquor.
Hot liquor?
Hot liquor, hot
Yeah.
water. No, out there. Got a
So
hot
why
liquor
is it
tank.
liquor?
Because that's what they say in brewing. They don't call it water.
But it is water.
It's water.
Okay.
It's liquor.
The brewers don't ever use a simple word when
When a
an
complicated-
incomprehensible word
Yeah.
would do.
What you want to do is extract all the starches and the sugars from that malt, because that gives you the sugar that the yeast then turns into alcohol.
So this is stage one.
This is stage 1.
How'd you get that into there?
Right. I have to get from.
What's that called?
That's a mash tun.
That's a mash.
That's a mash tun, and that's the mash in there.
So mash is the grain,
Yeah,
or your secret mixture of grains,
yeah.
liquor,
And hot liquor.
hot,
Yes.
in
there.
and then you sprinkle some more hot liquor on
Yes.
with your sprinkly
Because
rotating
yes, as you sparge, that's what that's called. You actually start to draw the liquor off the wort off at the bottom. So it pumps it up there and into the top of the copper.
So what you've got in there is what in the old days would be called ale.
It's not ale yet.
Oh, so what is it?
It's wort.
What is word?
Liquor, water, liquor, wort.
Wort. And then when you put your yeast in it, then you make ale.
Did you put that in here?
No, you'll kill it.
No.
Yeast is
I'm
very.
trying to ask intelligent questions.
Okay.
On behalf of the viewer, obviously,
Of course.
I know how this is done. I can do this.
Once this has boiled and we've put hops in it, hops for bitterness, hops for aroma. So we
you put
send
the
it.
hops, you don't do dry hopping.
I do dry hop some of my beers.
I'm just showing off that
I know you are.
This
We
is
do
very
try
interesting,
beer.
but I'm thirsty.
So we've got things to do.
And beer to drink.
Not yet.
A taste.
Not yet. We've got jobs to do before we get to tasting beer. I'm sorry.
Jobs, James.
Just check them in.
Yeah, because it's boiling, so the convection currents will just break it.
Now,
up
if
for
we
it.
were in a French vineyard, I'd have to do some pruning, or something wussy like that.
But this is a British brewery, so it's about heaving, sweating, and scrubbing, James.
Some of it's a bit tenacious, Patsy.
Yeah, yes, that's right. You have to climb inside it, James, and scrub.
What?
It has to be absolutely spotless, James.
I would suggest that Oz goes in. Wouldn't you?
Why?
Because you're a bit smaller than me.
Yeah, go on.
And you've been slacking.
Yeah, go on.
Don't turn around, James.
Don't worry. Wild horses couldn't drag my head round in that direction.
I'm not
Tell me when you're
gonna-
safely in the ton.
Don't turn around.
Well, I won't. Are you in yet? Oz is entering the fermentation vessel, where yeast turns wort into beer.
Oh, it's disgusting in here, James.
Is his arse
Should we-
out of shot
Should
yet?
we not tell him how to get out? Right.
Really, oh, God. I can't believe you actually do this in your shoes here, Patsy.
Shall we run off and drink beer now?
Absolutely filthy.
Shall we have a pint while he
Yeah,
does
sure.
that? Yeah,
Could do,
absolutely.
yeah.
Where is the beer? Fantastic.
Just leave it.
Oh, God.
Oz,
It's like standing in jellyfish.
I'm just going for a pint.
I suspect in the old days everyone did this naked. Like in winemaking times, they all jumped into the vats naked. I think in some fairly obscure parts of France they still do.
It's worse than Oz thinks. Because I've had a few, he'll have to drive. That's the rules. Clark, hello. How was it? He's not happy, is he? You'd like this, by the way. This is a lightly hopped, which is the way I like it, pale ale. Alcohol by volume, what is it? 3.7%? 3.7%. Very refreshing, very summery. Actually, Patsy's best seller. It's terrific. Bye! What a top woman.
Top girl.
Such a contrast with your pants fluttering from my aerial. Don't think I haven't noticed. It's not funny.
It is funny, it's the red duster and it's my source of pride. You didn't get into that wretched vat or ton or thing that I got into.
Undignified.
Absolutely, that will create an entire beer in its own right if not careful. It's covered in yeast.
Makes you look like a dictator. Your pants on the aerial are very annoying. If I
My
press
pants
this
are-
button,
No,
which
don't
is
do
the
no,
aerial
James,
button,
James, those are my pants, James!
pants disappear. Having ditched the Jolly Red Roger, we continue to our evening's caravan site with our relationship strained.
Have you actually learnt anything today, James?
That you last bought pants in 1980?
Funny.
Actually, I have learned quite a lot, including some exciting new words. Sparging, copper, mash tun, wort, liquor and trub.
Very good. So what does trub mean?
Trub is a sediment that forms in the copper. There's Trubbit Brewery.
Do shut up. In my world, all beer would be made somewhere like Patsy's Garage Brewery. But now we're heading northeast to see beer being brewed on a biblical scale.
Where are you taking me and what am I to learn today, O Master?
Well, what we're going to do this time is go to a very, very much larger operation. In fact, you could call it a factory if you wanted. And it brews an incredibly famous beer.
Is it in Newcastle?
Not quite.
I know what it is then.
What is it?
Newky Brown. Newcastle, the city that bequeathed to the English language its most versatile expression. Why I? Proper hardcore Geordies can mean a multitude of things with the expression why I, because they can say why I meaning hello, they can say why I meaning look out, they can say why I meaning what's going on here, and they can say why I meaning oh no. It all depends on the inflection. Yes.
There's two things. I mean, you could say Herbert. Let's say Herbert. The word Herbert can be used to mean anything, but it isn't.
No, but there is no tradition of using the word Herbert. I can't help noticing that we've left Newcastle.
Quite. So did the brewery. They closed the original one down a few years ago and moved everything to Gateshead. So, strictly speaking, it's now Gietnibrunn. Just look at it, James. That's what I'm terrified of. That's the modern, faceless face of modern brewing.
Never mind what it looks like. I bet they make enough beer to sail a ship in.
Where's the red brick smokestack? Where's the billowing steam? Where are the people? This used to be the beer that spoke for the Northeast, but I'm not sure it is any longer. I think most of it's now drunk in America, which just about says it all. This is Graham Stevenson. He's in charge of this vast labyrinth of pipes and tanks, but he doesn't call himself a brewer. He's a production manager.
Which are these vessels down here?
How can a place like this produce a beer with soul?
Stop moaning. So how many pints do you make a day?
We do 100,000 pints per brew, and we do 8 brews a day, so it's 800,000 pints a day.
100,000 pints a day.
See,
Yeah.
that's brilliant. Then they do, I've made a barrel of beer. 800,000 pints of beer. Even you can't drink that
Bigger
lot.
doesn't have to be better.
No, but it is
Oh,
bigger.
it is better.
Okay, so that's 800,000 times 31. That's 12. 292 million pints a year.
It's too much. Proper brewers like Patsy Slevin make a small amount of beer, but with love and dedication. That's not possible on this scale.
This is an inconceivable amount of beer. This factory alone only produces 1 pint for every 10th person in London a day. But if you had to satisfy the sort of demand we've got in the modern world, with small breweries, every single building in Britain would be a brewery. I'd need a brewery just to supply me with beer. The only difference between this and, say, Patsy's garage brewery is the size of the vessels. The process is the same. The vessels are bigger here, so you get a great deal of beer that is the same, but they're making one big brew.
Remember Patsy's mash tun?
Yes, the mash tun is where the hot liquor is sparged onto the malted barley to produce the mash, which then goes in the copper.
Very good. Well, this is Newquay Brown's equivalent. And the bit you can see is just the tip of the aleberg. One vessel holds 90,000 pints.
This is our nerve centre. Basically, the whole of the brewing process is controlled by that in this room by one man. Do you want to go and press some buttons on the computers, mate?
Yeah.
Oh, we'd love
Go
to.
on then.
All I've got to do is press my finger to start making 100,000 pints of Newquay Brown.
You seem quite ridiculously excited about the fact you've just set 90,000 pints of
Well, no,
beer
what-
into motion.
Well, it's that, but it's also the thought of all that machinery whirring and valves opening and little balls rotating inside cast houses and letting fluids and grain move around. I find quite exciting just by touching.
So what is your
something
vision
there.
of flavour of this particular 90,000 pints?
Exactly the same as all the other pints that come out of here. It'll taste of Newquay Brown.
There's a beer in each one of these.
When I was a student, I drank proper Newquay Brown from the old brewery. I liked it. So has hyper-modernisation affected the flavour?
Oh no, he spilled it.
Okay, so Stephen's taking the sample. I'm sorry it's not in a schooner glass for you, but I'm sure it'll taste just as good. It's not a session drink either. You don't drink a lot of it.
It's quite canny actually.
Canny?
Am I allowed to say that? Canny.
It's canny, man.
It's a bit sweeter than I remember.
This has actually got more hops than I expected.
It's got a bit of
Does it?
hops, isn't it?
A little bit more hop bitterness. I was expecting something a little bit more caramelly. We were talking about caramel and what was
We
the
do
other
put a
thing?
lot of caramel and hopscotch in, yeah.
Please, sir, may I have some more? Don't overdo that, will you? Because you're going to have to drive a car. The northeast, maybe not so much now, but traditionally a very industrial area. People needed the drink to slake the thirst of industrial endeavour, and they've made one in an industrial setting. I think that's an honour. You can't get a more honest pint. In an industrial setting.
No, I'm sorry. Newquay Brown simply doesn't taste as good as it did in the old days.
Well, then nothing does, according to Oz. Have you mashed tea?
Hey up! Tea coming up. Here you are, my master.
Thanks awfully.
Tea. You got any biscuits?
I have actually.
Where are they?
They're in the biscuit section, which is top right-hand cupboard above the sink.
James, forgive me, but that is a bag of yeast.
Yeah, I was going to make some bread.
Bread, James. Yesterday you're going to make biscuits. Today you're going to make bread.
Yes, well, I just thought, in the country, rustic, all that stuff you're into, traditional.
You're going to make some beer, aren't you?
Yes.
You?
Why don't we have a beer-making competition? I make beer, you make beer, we get some professional to judge it and see who actually knows the most about beer.
What, in the caravan?
In the caravan. Usually, Oz sets challenges for me, so this time I thought I'd beat him to it. And I came prepared.
This is the latest thing from Germany.
It's an electric brewing engine.
It looks like a microwave.
It's modern.
Typical. Unsporting to the last. Whatever happened to fair play, Judas May?
You don't like it, do you?
No, I don't.
So you'll need to go and get yourself a hand-wrought coopered wooden tun mash pot for your beer,
A mash pot.
whatever it's called.
It's not called a mash pot.
You can take the Royce.
I mean, James, it's so typical, you know. He comes up with this idea of a challenge. What a lovely idea. Yes, two equals having a lovely time. We'll go and brew 2 nice pints of British beer. Oh, no, he has to bring in some wretched German machine so he gets an artificial advantage over me. Well, I don't care.
Himmel. We have a problem. The instructions for my German beer-making machine are in German.
If I have to use saucepans and sieves and do the whole thing painstakingly by hand, I'll do it.
Oz can make beer the way they did in the olden days, the way he likes it. I'll use state-of-the-art technique, the way I like it. What's the problem?
My beer will be a symbol of all that is great about Britain.
How do they end up with a word like Geschirrspülmaschinen Reinigungsmittel? Completely useless. I'm sure I'll work it out with a bit of finger poking.
I was so engrossed in my soliloquy that I forgot to buy my brewing ingredients. But I have calmed down.
James?
I'm reading Aeroplane Monthly.
My bed?
Oh, did you hear that?
Yes.
That means the next stage of my brewing process is already finished.
Excuse me.
Mind the kettle. Mind the kettle.
This is completely bonkers in here.
That bit of the caravan is now the brewing court. That is the brewery, and that's where we make beer. It's great. You can sleep down that end, and you can put all your silk pants and your pink dressing gown and everything else you hold dear.
Just one thing you seem to have forgotten about this. The word we comes in occasionally. It sounds as though what you mean is you, not me.
I'm quite happy to sacrifice my personal comfort for beer.
Let's get this straight. He's thrown my bed out of the door and he's bleating on about his personal comfort. But because we're blokes, we've soon forgotten we'd fallen out and decide to go for a pint. In Newcastle, that can only mean one place.
I mean, if we're going to go into Newcastle's big market, what do you think?
Lovely.
Good. I think it's quite nice as well. What about this one? That one there. See whether I can...
Do you have to keep walking to this
Yeah,
end?
I do. I need natural light. I've got to see the shirts. Now, what do you reckon? There's a nice blue there.
Blue one's excellent.
Yeah. Ah, this, Jim. Now, the thing about this is a really nice shirt. The thing about this one is, look, underneath the shirt, but attached to it, there's a T-shirt. Fantastic. Ah, this is really interesting. I've got 3 different vintages here of black Levi's. Now, this is actually quite interesting, James, whatever you think. I can almost smell the sort of suntan lotion spilt on these.
How long have you known me? 3 years?
Yeah.
Have I ever taken any interest in even my own clothing, let alone yours?
Your own not, but I mean...
So why would I be interested in yours? I don't fancy you. I'm not taking you out for the evening. I'm not trying to impress you. You're, I hope, are not trying to impress me. You put on a pair of jeans. There is a pair in your hand. That blue shirt is a terrific shirt. Put it on. Great.
Newcastle's big market is packed with bars, and if we want to learn about modern drinking, it's the place to go. It's loud, gaudy, boisterous, and full of people not wearing enough clothes.
Here we go, James. This is the centre of drinking culture up here. We are 2 cool-looking lads, and we're going to go and get some fun. This one here.
It's a bit noisy.
A bit noisy. You don't like that one?
Makes me feel a bit old.
What about the City Vault? Is
Yeah,
that
what
like
about
a
that?
funky bar?
It's too noisy, you won't like it.
Do you want to watch television?
Not really.
Quilt cover sets for £2.99. That's...
Sort of a bit of a disco though, isn't it, really?
I'm not sure we're really cut out for the youth drinking scene.
Want to find a pub? I've been meaning to tell you something, by the way. You haven't taken the label off the shirt. And it was worse than that, it was reduced. It's not cool. Do you want to go to a pub?
Yeah, I know where we can go. I know where we can go.
Don't go too quickly because my shoes are slippery. The truth is, I always do that, visit a different city, and I think, where's this street where the fun and the sword fighting and the brawling and the seduction and the drinking takes place, and I have a look at it and then I get a bit miserable and I end up in a proper pub because I just prefer them. As much as I try to deny it, I'm getting a bit old for things like the big market, which must mean you're 5 times too old.
We'd have said at 20 years old, what on earth are those Clinkleys doing in our market?
Exactly.
That's our place. And we think that actually we can go in and say, hello, and everyone will enjoy us and say, come and join us. You're just like we are, but we're not.
It's your gore. 10.
Time at the bar, please!
I've just realised something.
What's that?
It's about my beer. I've used barley from Yorkshire, water from Newcastle. I've added Kentish hops stolen from an Italian in Derbyshire. It's going to ferment somewhere in Scotland and be drunk in the West. It's going to be a true beer of Britain. How's your beer coming along?
Very funny, James.
Beer camp Friday morning, Geordie campsite thing. Here is my beer. Steaming away. I'm now boiling the wort. And as you can see from the little display, the temperature is up to 97 degrees. There's 52 minutes to go before that, before the cooling process. It's quite noisy, making the caravan quite damp and steamy. What really amazes me is that Ozcark is able to sleep through this sort of thing. Morning. God, this is a symphony in pink, this shot.
The northeast of England is such a beautiful place, hey, isn't it? Just look at this place we're driving through.
Yeah, it's absolutely
lovely
fabulous.
forests and, oh, bliss.
Magic land, I agree. It's
and
fabulous.
I thought that the sea coast of northeast England is just fabulous.
Are you actually taking me to the seaside?
I'm taking you to the seaside, James, because I love the seaside.
I love the
I thought we'd
seaside.
go right down to the sea.
Just 1 hour north of Newcastle is the awesome Northumberland coast. With dazzling, golden, sandy beaches, voluptuous, undulating dunes and snowy-breasted rolling surf, this 100-mile stretch of...
Britain has a brewery in it, a pub.
Yes, we're going to a very interesting brewery that I've heard a lot about. Unlike Patsy and Nuki Brown Ale, this brewery supplies beer to just one pub. In fact, it's in the same building.
Beautiful view, James.
It's not bad, is it? Is it?
Christine Forsyth had never even pulled a pint before she upped sticks from Hertfordshire and risked it all for a new life with her daughter Hannah on this gorgeous coastline.
This is in your microbrewery.
You've got something much deeper there.
I've got Dolly Daydream.
Dolly Daydream
Dolly Daydream.
and seaweed.
Let's see what James has learnt so far about the fine art of beer tasting.
Have you got a flavour off this?
Pretty
Tea
good.
leaves,
Great,
tea
isn't it?
leaves. Slightly grapey tea leaves. Muscatel tea leaves from the high hills of Darjeeling. And a little bit of grapefruit.
I think it smells quite beery.
Is my apprentice showing off? Or are we back to square one?
I think it tastes of the seaside. The sea will affect this beer. If you brewed this 2 miles inland, it wouldn't taste the same as this.
Well, when you asked me what did it smell and taste of earlier on, I didn't want to say it because I thought it sounded rude, but I thought it thinks it tastes very, very, very faintly salty,
Just what I think.
doesn't it? Does it really have seaweed in it?
No.
So you were just mocking my ignorance of beer when you said that. So could I just make it clear that when you decided to do this, you were genuinely broke?
I had my house, but I had no money in the bank. I had nothing.
But that's quite an important point in that you're not one of these misty-eyed, trustafarian romantics. Who's
No, no.
actually still got the house in Kensington in 5 minutes.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
It's an embarrassing question to ask.
It is very embarrassing. It's somewhat insulting.
Yes, it is.
Have you been sitting here
It's
thinking?
television. I just want to make
Have you
sure.
been sitting here all the time thinking, I bet she's got a house in bloody Kensington?
No, but a certain number of our viewers would have thought, oh, here we go, there's another woman with a house in Kensington who's pretending to be a rustic. I'm just making sure you're a real
Absolutely
rustic.
not.
I think this is very encouraging. A local pub, a pub with soul, beer with soul, and not a multinational brand in sight. I'd like to go into the
I
brewery.
would like to suggest that seeing as I already own my own brewery anyway, so there's not much for me to learn, you should go and actually learn about brewing, Oz, because you do have some brewing to do and you have some catching up to do, let's be honest. I'll sit
One brew
here
behind.
and try the other beers.
I'm going to try, as against your specious, underhand pint that you're brewing, I shall try and brew the honest pint. I shall go and look for an honest brewer to show me how. Michael, you Michael?
Yeah.
Oh, great. I've just been having some of your fantastic beer out there.
right. Cheers.
Great. God, it's a nice little brewery. Compact.
It's compact is the word, yes. Bijou.
I have a bit of a problem. I wonder whether you have a couple of tips for a fellow who's going to have to be trying to brew a really fine, British, honest pint on a gas stove in a caravan.
Oz is a remarkably knowledgeable chap, but when it comes to actually doing something practical, he's useless.
It's all based on Archimedes' principle. Like the Greek fellow jumped in the bath and the water went over the side.
Sorry, the bucket is there and all the stuff. How did? Oh,
right,
have you
sorry,
made some?
sir.
Have you made some holes in there?
Lots and lots of little holes back yeah.
And what chance does he stand against the industrial might of Germany and the relentless tramp of its brewing engine?
You don't have any shortcuts that a chap in a caravan without an awful lot of cooking talent could.
Goodbye, kid. It's cheating.
Poor old Oz. I've been horrible to him. I know. I'll take him out for a slap-up dinner.
Is this your little treat for me, James?
Yes, it is.
Because in terms of localness, I couldn't agree more. We've got a complete sense of place, honest terroir, if I can use that strange French word, meal. The bloke who caught this is probably having a pint at this very minute in the pub. That's where he's got his lobster pot.
I just spoke to him.
So, James, we've learnt how to brew beer.
Some of us have even put what we've learned into practice.
Yes. But are we any closer to finding out what drink speaks for modern Britain?
Well, I think I have an early favourite. Beer.
Beer's good, isn't it?
Beer's good. I like beer.
There you go.
What about the fact that something like that Newcastle Brown is not the same beer as it used to be?
Well, of course it isn't, Oz, because the weather isn't as good as it used to be, and you don't think anything's as good as it used to be.
I think
You're not as good as you used to be.
I bloody am.
I've known you for 3 years.
Have I got worse than that time?
Yeah, 3 years ago you were much better.
What at?
Everything.
I wasn't.
You were.
I talked just as much.
No,
I
you
didn't
were
drink
funnier.
enough.
3 years ago you were funnier. You're not as funny as you used to be.
How many more weeks have I got of this?